Donald Trump has spent the last 24 hours doing everything he possibly can to distract his most rabid supporters from one of the great gifts that they believed Donald Trump was going to give them if they just voted for him for president. The Epstein files. Donald Trump told his conspiracy-minded followers during the presidential campaign that he was going to release the federal investigative files on Jeffrey Epstein, his rich friend, who Donald Trump used to party with frequently and who ended up exposed as a rapist of children and sex trafficker who killed himself in federal prison during Donald Trump's first presidency when Trump officials were in charge of federal prisons. Donald Trump's attorney general, who herself appears in the Epstein files as one of the lawyers involved in the case, told Fox viewers recently that she had the Epstein files client list on her desk. Trump Attorney General Pam Bondi was asked about the mythical or possibly real so-called client list that Trump fanatics believe was kept by Jeffrey Epstein, listing the names of all the prominent people for whom Jeffrey Epstein provided sex-trafficked young girls. The question she was asked was, the Department of Justice may be releasing Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen? To which the Attorney General said, quote, "It's sitting on my desk right now to review." That's been a directive by President Trump. I am reviewing that. Donald Trump told her, according to her, to work on the Epstein files, and she said on Fox that she was reviewing the client list specifically. Tears broke out among Trump fanatics when the Trump Attorney General decided that nothing in the Epstein files, nothing, could ever be publicly released.
I'm going to go throw up, actually. And this only happens every few years when something really, really bad happens or something. I mean, I'm physically going to puke probably right now. My mouth is watering right now. Because I have integrity. And, I just really need the Trump administration to succeed and to save this country, and they're doing so much good. And then for them to do something like this tears my guts out.
This is honestly one of the craziest things I've ever seen in my entire life. And I just think it's very dangerous to play around with this stuff, like very dangerous.
Donald Trump worries about those people. Donald Trump was clearly worried about the wrath of those fanatics yesterday in the cabinet room when a reporter asked the Attorney General, sitting near Donald Trump, about the Epstein files.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time?
And today, Donald Trump wants his fanatics focused on a different investigation, and so he gave them a different investigation. Trump World leaked to reporters a different investigation that should thrill those same crying fanatics who feel betrayed about the Epstein files. The trouble with a leak from the Trump administration is that everyone in the Trump administration in a position to deliver such a leak either is a publicly proven pathological liar or works for a publicly proven pathological liar in the White House or in the Trump cabinet. And so the leak that I'm about to report to you has whatever value you choose to assign to a leak that is oozing out of a cesspool of pathological liars. And here is that leak. NBC News reports that Trump's Justice Department has opened criminal investigations into the conduct of former CIA Director John Brennan and former FBI Director James Comey. John Brennan is an invaluable MSNBC contributor. Quote, Details of what exactly they are being investigated for or how far the Justice Department intends on taking the probes are unclear. As for Brennan, a source briefed on the matter said CIA Director John Ratcliffe had made a criminal referral of Brennan to the Justice Department. Exactly what prompted the Comey investigation is unclear. Ratcliffe last week released an internal CIA review that criticized Brennan's handling of a 2017 intelligence assessment concluding that Russian President Vladimir Putin wanted to help Trump defeat Democrat Hillary Clinton in the 2016 election. Now, I have a spoiler alert for you on these investigations that will save you a lot of time because you need not read another word about these so-called new investigations. No one is going to be charged with a crime as a result of these investigations. This is a leak for Trump fanatics designed to take their agonized attention away from Donald Trump and his attorney general, breaking their promise to release the Epstein files. The Trump administration is fully corrupt enough to conduct utterly pointless federal criminal investigations of a former director of the CIA and a former director of the FBI. And the Trump administration is also fully corrupt enough to lie to their fanatics about conducting investigations that they are not conducting. The CIA review of John Brennan's role in investigating Russia's interference in the 2016 election revealed absolutely nothing new, and they didn't even question John Brennan about it in producing that new review. And that new review, as I say, reveals nothing new. But Donald Trump's CIA director, John Ratcliffe, did publicly lie on social media about his own review, saying, all the world can now see the truth. Brennan, Clapper, and Comey manipulated intelligence and silenced career professionals, all to get Trump. And nothing, not a word, in CIA Director Ratcliffe's report shows any of that he put in social media. He is tweeting a big game to distract Trump fanatics. John Brennan, who was questioned for over 8 hours by the Trump Justice Department during the first Trump presidency about this very subject and was never charged with a crime, had this reaction today for Nicole Wallace after Nicole's first question about the leak of this new investigation.
Yeah, well, as Yogi Berra has famously said, it's deja vu all over again. It is hard to believe that here we are 8.5 years afterward, we're still going over this ground that has been, I think, fairly well and exhaustively plowed. First of all, I should say I know nothing about this reported investigation or referral to the DOJ, other than what I've read in these press reports, these leaks, which are not really supposed to happen if there is an investigation going on. Secondly, nobody from the FBI or Department of Justice or CIA has reached out to me at all. So I am just waiting to, hear more about what this might be.
The very first leak of these maybe or maybe not investigations of John Brennan and James Comey was to Fox. And it was Fox's White House reporter today who, operating as usual as an energetic collaborator in Donald Trump's distraction games, did everything he could without a shred of embarrassment about his own revealed stupidity to help Donald Trump push his new distraction.
Thank you, President Trump. James Comey and John Brennan now under criminal investigation related to the Trump-Russia probe. Do you want to see these two guys behind bars?
Well, I know nothing about it other than what I read today, but I will tell you, I think they're very dishonest people. I think they're crooked as hell, and maybe they have to pay a price for that. I believe they are truly bad people and dishonest people, so whatever happens, happens.
What a babbling buffoon. And I mean the reporter this time, the Fox so-called reporter. Do you want to see these two guys behind bars? That reporter used to be, by far, the stupidest reporter in the White House press corps, but he has now been outdone by the dregs of Trump-worshiping media that have been allowed to join the White House press corps. So If you work at Fox and your father got you the job because he's the morning host there, and you enjoy all of the white male privilege that comes from your father being a morning host at Fox for many years, you then become the Fox White House correspondent who thinks, do you want to see these two guys behind bars, is a good question for a president. That incompetent buffoon probably has no idea that no president would ever or has ever answered a question like that prior to Donald Trump. And in that same room today, we saw a White House reporter doing the job as it should be done. Sean McCreesh of the New York Times did something that most White House reporters never do. He picked up on a point illuminated by another White House reporter. Usually White House reporters want to go their own way when questioning Donald Trump, which is a huge mistake. They would be better off if they repeatedly followed up the unanswered question that Donald Trump just tried to evade with the previous reporter. That is the kind of illuminating teamwork that the White House press corps could do, but usually doesn't do. It's as if they have some kind of pride of authorship in changing the subject for Donald Trump to help, in effect, Donald Trump evade, with a cloud of meaningless words, a response to the previous reporter. Sean McCreesh followed up on the good question asked by Caitlin Collins yesterday to Donald Trump about the pause in weapons shipments to Ukraine.
So, President, you have sent more weapons to Ukraine, as you said last night. Last week, the Pentagon paused some shipments of weapons to Ukraine. Did you approve of that pause?
We wanted to put defensive weapons because Putin is not, he's not treating human beings right. He's killing too many people. So we're sending some defensive weapons to Ukraine, and I've approved that.
So who ordered the pause last week?
I don't know. What did you tell me?
I went on at length last night about just how stupid Donald Trump's response was to that question. I don't know. You tell me. And here is Sean McCreesh's follow-up question 24 hours later, today.
Sir, yesterday you said that you were not sure who ordered the munitions halted to Ukraine. Have you since been able to figure that out?
Well, I haven't thought about it because we're looking at Ukraine right now and munitions, but I have not gone into it.
What does it say that such a big decision could be made inside your government without you knowing?
I would know. If a decision was made, I will know. I'll be the first to know. In fact, most likely I'd give the order, but I haven't done that yet. Yeah, please.
If you don't think that that string of English words made any sense, you are correct. It did not make any sense. Sean McCreesh's question was, what does it say that such a big decision could be made inside your government without you knowing? That's the question. And Donald Trump says, I would know. But we just heard him say yesterday, I don't know. Why don't you tell me? And now Donald Trump says, I would know. He says, if a decision was made, I will know. I'll be the first to know. In fact, most likely, I'd give the order. Most likely? Okay, but we're talking about the instances when you don't give the order, like the pausing of the weapons to Ukraine. If there's a shred of truth in anything that Donald Trump said in response to Sean McCreesh today, it would be, well, I haven't thought about it. And that is the truth of everything Donald Trump does and doesn't do as president. I haven't thought about it. That is the theme of the Trump presidency. In your lifetime of listening to presidents being asked questions about policy situations they are actively engaged in every day, you have never once heard a president say, I haven't thought about it. It takes Trumpian stupidity to say something like that. And when you're as stupid as Donald Trump, you have no idea how stupid your stupidity sounds. Donald Trump is trapped in his stupidity. There is no way he can fake sounding smart about anything, not even his lifetime passion and greatest expertise, golf, which he simply lies about. And today, Donald Trump put his stupidity in writing once again in one of his inane tariff letters, this time to the president of Brazil. Donald Trump actually told the president of Brazil that, quote, starting August 1st, 2025, we will charge Brazil a tariff of 50% on any and all Brazilian products sent into the United States. And the reason this time is crazier than any other reason he's ever given. The reason Donald Trump gave for imposing a 50% tariff on Brazil was in the second sentence of the letter. It was this: the way that Brazil has treated former President Bolsonaro, a highly respected leader throughout the world during his term, including by the United States, is an international disgrace. We will consider later in this program how this drunk tariff letter will affect Donald Trump's case in the Supreme Court when they consider the constitutionality of Donald Trump's tariffs, which have already been ruled illegal and unconstitutional by the leading judicial experts on tariffs in America, the Special Federal Court for International Trade. That case is being appealed and will surely end up in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court will not fixate on all the oddities of Donald Trump's improper use of capital letters in his prose writing, but everyone in the Brazilian president's office who sees this letter will know that it's the first one they've received from a president of the United States with absurdly childish grammar mistakes. There is no English language usage in which the phrase highly respected leader would have a capital H, R, and L. And everyone who knows English in the Brazilian president's office knows that the word world and the word term in that same sentence also should not be capitalized. There has never been an explanation, other than Donald Trump's inadequate education, for his random use of uppercase letters. But when you send these things to foreign countries and heads of state, they know that someone who can't command his own language, the proper use of his own language, cannot possibly be taken seriously on anything. Nobel Prize-winning economist Paul Krugman did a special post tonight on the Trump letter to Brazil, calling it evil and megalomaniacal. The truth of how Donald Trump arrived at the tariffs on Brazil, and it is in his own statement about another point, and that is his confession today. I haven't thought about it. That explains everything in the Trump presidency.